The show's called, the show's called, the show's called,
Dying laughing.
the show's called, the show's called, the show's called, the show's called,
Dying laughing.
the show's called, the show's called, the show's called, the show's called,
Dying laughing.
the show's called.
Testing 1 2 1 2. I think we're here. It doesn't take 35 hours to talk.
I hope not.
Yeah.
No one would listen.
Not even a little bit.
Nope.
So anyway, I guess this is the pilot / first time we've decided to record.
Right, we've never done this before.
We've never done this before. The show's called Dying Laughing.
Yeah, welcome to Dying Laughing.
You know, welcome. I don't even want to say I'm here. I don't want to say I'm a host. I guess I'm host A.
And I'll be host B.
Okay, that's a good letter to start with.
Yeah.
So I'm Oya Gilbert. Did we say our government names?
We did not say our government names, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, so we'll just say I'm O.
Okay, I'm Tim.
Okay, Tim.
You've already said your full name, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's too late.
I think I might change that. But anyway, I guess just to give a background of the show, we wanted to create a show that was for more than just cancer, I guess, patients.
Yeah.
But, you know, kind of anybody that really wanted to listen to something humorous. And we're just two guys that happen to be dealing with cancer or have dealt with cancer.
Yeah.
One or the other. Does that sound?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the show?
I think it's. I think we're shooting for something that you'd want to listen to when you're sick. But that's kind of a weird way to put it.
Yeah, because when aren't you not really?
We're not
sick
really
with-
shooting for people that are sick.
Yeah. Are
But,
we not?
well, I guess we are a little bit, yeah. But I think the point is what I'm trying to get to in a convoluted roundabout way. A way for. What I'm trying to record is something that I would have liked to have listened to while I was sitting in the hospital.
I got
While
you.
I was sick, while I was at home, some way to know that there's other people out there that are going through this, that understand what's going on, and can still stare at it and laugh.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the gist of it
Yeah.
for me too. It's just trying to create something that I've always thought that laughter is the greatest medicine that God created, and so with that being said, I enjoy laughing. I think it's got me through life, and this is just one more phase of it with cancer.
Yeah, I think, not to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off.
Okay,
The other side of it, too, is for people that aren't sick. Right?
absolutely.
And, like, to hear things like, because I know, like, when I was sick and I would say something to my parents or my sister or my wife, the people that are helping me out, like, sometimes it sounds different when it's coming from somebody else. That's not so close and in the thick of it.
Right.
Yeah, like me and Trish dealt with my cancer. Trish is my wife. That's her government name.
Okay.
We,
We might have to give people aliases.
sorry, I'll call her Trish. So me and Trish dealt with my disease very different ways, like vastly different ways. And
Right.
not right or wrong ways, just vastly different. But I think for the caregivers and people that are kind of on the periphery or in the orbit, but not actually in there,
Mm-hmm.
hearing what their loved one is probably going through from outside of that direct connection might have a little more weight, or at least a different weight than me telling somebody, please just leave me the hell alone.
I can understand that point. I mean, that's a good segue because I really wanted to ask you, like, basically how did it begin? What's the situation with, what's your story?
Sure.
But ultimately, that's what this show is about, is just trying to put a little laughter in anybody's life. As I stated before, we just two guys that happen to have had or dealing with cancer in some shape, form, or capacity. So with that being said, further ado, the guy that's called, I guess, Tim.
I guess, Tim.
What is your story, man?
Yeah. So, and when we're done, I want to talk about, before I forget, I'm just saying so I forget, how we met.
Okay.
Because that's kind of, that whole thing is absurd.
Yeah, that might be, that's probably important too.
That's important, yeah, but we'll get to that. But so what happened with me, I had what's called diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Man, that's long.
It's a mouthful. It's
Yeah.
a terrible, terrible thing to
Is
say.
there an acronym for that?
Diffuse, DL.
Oh, you're working on it now.
Delitha. I don't know.
Okay, let's go with that.
We're gonna call it.
We'll write it down later.
We'll call it non-Hodgkin's.
Yeah.
And it's great when like Dr. Manishi tries to say it at the hospital, and he's a very smart man, but his English is not up to par with the rest of his brain, and it's a struggle to get it out.
Now, Dr. Manishi was at.
He was at Penn State.
Okay.
He was not my doctor, so I don't like I can't make fun of him like I can of Dr. Amon, who I will make fun of a lot. He'll just be happy that I talked
I'm sure
about
they'll
him
appreciate
at
that
all.
if they ever listen to this.
They will. I'm sure they will. They won't sue us.
No.
No. Definitely not.
We'll definitely put that in the disclaimer.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we talk about you, you're not allowed to sue us.
Or anything. Don't even call in.
Don't even bother. So we have a call-in portion?
Well, this is the pilot. We haven't got the phone yet, but once we get a number, you can call.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, but Dr. Amon can't. So I was 40 when I was diagnosed. I had this pain in my side. So at the time, I owned a gym called CrossFit Lancaster. That was my full-time gig as I ran
No
this
plugs.
gym. No plugs. Well, it's not my gym anymore, but you can go see them. They're fine.
Just messing with
So we'll call it CrossFit Lancaster because that's different. So I used to own that gym, and I had this pain in my left side. It just wasn't quitting, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I figured I pulled a muscle, which is not unusual considering my line of work, and I've done it before. I'll probably do it again.
You could possibly pull a muscle.
I mean,
working in a gym.
I'm 43, man. I pull a muscle sleeping. Oh. It's ridiculous. Like, it's a disaster. Like, you wake up like, oh man, I slept wrong. How do you sleep wrong?
Yeah, especially when you get up there.
The older you get, man, the wronger you sleep.
Wronger.
That's a word.
Write that down.
That's a word.
I just want to give it might be a lot of words that we use that are not necessarily in the English dictionary.
But you're going to know what we're talking about.
But you're going to completely understand.
You'll know it.
We're kind of like the Archie Bunker of talk radio podcast.
Is that because I'm white?
That's a good start. But it was the fact that, and for those that, millennials that might not know who Archie Bunker is, it was all in the family show. Google it, you'll understand.
You'll love it.
Archie Bunker was the smartest uneducated person in the world simultaneously. But go ahead.
He was great. So I was so CrossFit, you run the guy that runs the show is running a class every day, telling everyone what to do. Pick this up, put it down, do it faster, do it again. And I had this pain, and I was like really trying to hide it, and I thought I was hiding it pretty well, but I wasn't. I wasn't at all. Like, I was sitting down, like, I was all pasty and sweaty. Like, I was not doing a good job of hiding this. And the nutritionist, Kelly Marshall, who worked for me at the time, she looks at me, she's like, Tim, you need to go. Like, something's wrong. You need to go to the hospital.
Right.
And Kelly's funny. Like, one time, a couple months before this, and this is when I knew, like, this is how I kind of figured something was wrong at the time, because I was in really, really, really good shape when this happened. Like, I really clawed myself back into, this fighting shape. But I was complaining to her probably 4 months prior to this. Kelly, I feel so old and fat. And she says, Tim, you're not old. Dang it, Kelly.
Out the fat part.
No, and she wasn't even really sure about the old part. I was old. So I was coming up on 40 and feeling bad. And I lost like 30 pounds and, increased my lifts. I did all the CrossFit stuff and did really good. And then this pain. And it would not quit. And I couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And it was really bothering me. It was going on for like a week and a half. So Kelly says, look, you need to leave. Like, I'll take care of the class tonight. I'll lock up. You go to the urgent care. So I went to urgent care, and they said, yeah, you've probably got gas, which is super embarrassing. Like, I had to go to urgent care because I had to fart. Like, that's a terrible thing to do. They said, either that or you pulled a muscle.
Right.
Which would you like us to treat? I said, please give me something for the pulled muscle, because I don't want to tell people I had to leave and close up because
you had gas.
I had to poop.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's silly.
That's
so yeah, pulled muscle.
It's not a good look.
The guy, it's not a good look. No, it's not. It is not tough. So the guy gives me a prescription for Flexerol. Says take one of these and a couple Advil. You'll be fine by morning. So I did. It was like about 9 o'clock. I got the pills. Take my Flexerol. Take my fistful of Advil. By midnight, it hurt so bad I drove myself to the ER. And that's where they started finding problems. And I want to back up a little bit. Just as I drove myself. I'd mentioned my wife Trisha, who loves me tremendously, in spite of my best efforts. Still loves me.
That's a good one.
I don't know why, man. Like, she told me
Those
she
are
married.
Definitely good brownie points right there.
It's a good woman. Yeah. She told me she married me because being a nun would have been too easy.
Okay.
So we got married.
I think I get that joke.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So we married 20 years. We have 7 children. I know.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what's causing that. But we have 7 of them. So the reason that I drove myself to the ER is because we had all these kids living at home. They would need to be fed and watered and clothed in the morning. So
Yeah.
Trisha, she loves me, and she would have driven me to the ER if I asked her to, but I didn't. You know,
Yeah.
I purposely went myself.
You had
I
to
said,
deal
"Hon,
with the herd.
I'll be back. Yeah, I got to deal with this." Yeah, there's a herd of hungry,
Children.
dirty, sleepy children at my house that needed to be addressed first thing in the morning. So I went to the ER. They hooked me up to a CAT scan, gave me a prescription for Oxy. Said, "Yeah, that hurts. You should go to your doctor and figure out what's going on." And I asked the dude point blank, like, "Yeah, but like, what's causing this?"
Right.
I said, "Well, you should go see your doctor." I said, "Okay, I'll see my doctor, but like, I don't have cancer or anything, do I?" I said, "We really think you should go see your doctor."
Nobody wants to.
Nobody wants to tell you that. Like, no one
Yeah.
wants to be the guy that gives you that news. Like, in their defense, they're right. Like, the ER's job isn't to diagnose; it's to fix the acute problem and get you to your doctor.
Right.
So the acute problem was that I was in a lot of pain. So here, take this opioid and then go home,
Right.
and that'll fix the pain. And then go see your doctor like as soon as this opioid wears off and you wake up. So I went to see my doc the next day, and he didn't see the results of the CAT scan or anything. Nobody had yet. And he's running tests for like lupus and all these like autoimmune disorders that I knew I didn't have. I knew like, I don't got this. Like, this is silly, but all right, you got to go through the hoops. You got to go through the motions.
You got to go to A to Z.
Yeah, you got to check the boxes off.
Right.
So, but what I really wanted to know is like, do I have cancer? Like, this is kind of
Like just looking for just the
nobody's
third
answering
letter
this.
in the alphabet.
Right,
I'm looking-
ABC. Let's get there.
Yeah.
But nobody's giving me a straight answer. But nobody's thinking, yeah, you probably do, because like I'm in the best shape of my life. I don't drink a lot. I don't smoke. Like all the
Right.
things that cancer seems to like, I seem to avoid. So it just, I'm not the guy you think of when you think that dude's going to get cancer. Like, that's not who I was.
Yeah.
But then, so they're running all these tests. They send me home. Say, keep taking your Oxy. And Saturday morning, I was able to log on to the hospital's health portal for the patients. And I pulled up the CAT scan report. And sure as not, I don't want to curse, but I shouldn't. Sure as hell, the guy says right in there, like, huge mass. That wasn't the doctor language, but big mass on your left side. Primary concern is lymphoma, and secondary concern is testicular cancer.
Oh.
Like, dude, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I asked you and you knew.
Right.
You knew right there. Like, yeah, dude, you know what? I think you might. Would have been a good answer.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're in a bad spot right now. You need to see it. Like, that would have been a way better answer than you really need to go see your doctor.
Prolonging the answer doesn't make it.
And learning that you have cancer on the internet is a horrible way to figure it out.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Like, man, like, that's not why I go to the internet.
No,
No.
that's not why most people do.
No, you go to the internet for silly cat videos.
Yeah, exactly. Or watch other people go
Other
through
people
stuff.
go through stuff like this, but I'm never there. So I went back to my doc on Monday and like chewed him out for no good reason, because he didn't have it either. And it wasn't even my doc that I saw. It was someone else in the office, just the first available appointment. So I tore him a new one, and then I apologized, because I know it wasn't his fault.
Right.
Like, he had as much information as I did, and he was doing what he thought was right. But I'll do that. Like, I make mistakes, but if I make a mistake, like I try to correct it. I try to fix it. So I fixed it right away. But I was pretty mean to him. It was bad. So they shipped me off. They referred me to the cancer doctors in Lancaster. Lancaster Hematology Oncology was where I went. They sent me through all these different tests. I had to get a bunch of biopsies. The first time I got a biopsy, they put the needle through my back, because this thing is on my left side, like pushing up against my spine. It's underneath my stomach. My renal vein or renal artery is going through it, which is weird for lymphoma. Lymphoma is usually a systemic thing. It's not usually a big, pile of stuff. But this is like the size of a lemon up against my spine, sitting there. And thank God it was, right? Because if it wasn't there, who knows how long it would have been before I was finally tired enough to say something's wrong.
Exactly.
It's like
Just
at the
floating
time,
around.
like looking back, I see a lot of things that were probably symptomatic that I also could have chalked up to a lot of other stuff. Like, I would sit down and fall asleep.
Right.
But yeah, I've got 7 kids, a gym, a real estate practice. Like,
I'm married.
I'm tired.
I have a family.
I have a family. I have a large family and 2 jobs. Yeah, I'm tired. So it wasn't really surprising. I sit down and I fall asleep. There's days at the gym where I was just off.
Right.
And we tracked everything. Like that was a big thing. We wanted verifiable, measurable, repeatable results. So I tracked everything. And I saw some of the stuff that I'd done prior, like, well, man, I'm way off.
Right.
And I'm not sure why. Like I slept plenty and I ate well. Like I couldn't figure it out. But so looking back, I can see a lot of stuff that maybe people would have pointed me in another direction, but who knows how long it would have been.
Before you would have discovered
Yeah,
what the real thing
before
is.
I finally said, I'm sick.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm never sick.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Like Dr. Amen called me annoyingly healthy. Yeah, except for the one huge exception.
Right.
So they sent me to hematology oncology, got all these biopsies, finally got a clear diagnosis of diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and said, all right, this is the treatment plan.
I forgot that acronym now, but
Yeah,
I got you.
they're HERF.
Whatever.
We'll get it.
Yep.
So the treatment plan for that specific disease, and that's the most common type of lymphoma. If you're going to get lymphoma, 80% of the time is that kind. So it's
Like,
not
roll the dice.
Yeah, right. I
got to get to the easy cancer.
and that's what everybody kept saying, right? Like people that knew medical stuff said, "Well, you got a good kind of cancer." I'm like, "Man, shut up!
Right.
This is not a good kind of cancer. There's no such thing as that.
Right. Is there a good cancer?
No, it's not. I got a really
on
nasty.
On the menu of cancer, I think I'll take a number 2.
Right. With a side
just
of rice.
With a side of just a little bit of that other cancer.
Right.
Those two might work out. And diabetes.
Nah, yeah, get a little extra diabetes.
A little extra
just for
diabetes on the side.
A little side. Yeah. So like, and that drove me down. That's something we're going to talk about in another episode is dumb things people say when you get cancer. Right. Telling
exactly.
you you've got the good kind of cancer is on the list of dumb things to say to someone who has that type of cancer.
There's tons of material. You could probably do a whole
We're going to
show
talk for
about that.
hours about that, but not today. So it is a super aggressive kind of cancer, but it's also very treatable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a standard protocol. No matter what hospital you go to, they all follow the same protocol. So it was 6 rounds of a cocktail called R-CHOP.
Yep.
Rituxan, something else, and prednisone.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of mix all these things together, pump you full of poison on Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
and then let you go.
See you later.
And we do that 6 times. And really, I really thought that I'd be able to keep my life kind of together.
Right.
While I was going through this, I get my chemo on Wednesday, and I'll take Thursday and Friday off.
Right.
I'll give myself a chance to recover.
Right.
And then Monday morning, boom, I'm back in the gym. I'm coaching classes. I'm building my real estate empire. Let's go. And that happened exactly one time.
Yeah.
So this is ridiculous. I cannot do that.
Yeah, chemo has a funny way of saying,
It slows
hey,
you
here's
down.
what's happening. Here's what's really going to happen.
Yeah, right. You're funny, Tim. You think you're going to work. You're going to puke is what you're going to do.
Chemo is, man, I don't need, go ahead, man.
It sucks.
It sucks.
So thank God, the gym and all the coaches at the gym at the time, they took over. They saw right away, like, you're too sick to be here.
Right.
But we really like this place. So we're going to keep it running. And the coaches stepped up. I am so thankful for them. I can't name them all because I'll forget somebody and piss them all off, but you know who you are. It was amazing that they wanted to keep this thing that I had built alive while I was trying to stay alive.
Right.
They set up a meal train, like, immediately. Like, we didn't have to cook for like 6 months.
Mm.
Like, no dinners were needed. We got so many casseroles and so much lasagna.
I would be so nervous. I think I'm going to die from one of these neighbors' meals.
Right? Like, what are you cooking me?
Which neighbor did I rub the wrong way?
Right?
Don't eat that meal.
Another pro tip, if you're getting a meal train, if you're setting up a meal train, talk to somebody at the house and say, hey, what are your kids sick of? And then don't bring that.
Exactly.
Because we had enough of some stuff. Like, I can't eat lasagna anymore. Like, especially if you've got 7 kids. Because people feel like 7 equals army. So they come with, I literally still have leftovers in my freezer. Like, I got some really good soup and some really good chili that's hanging out in the bottom of the freezer because we just haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, I could imagine. People. It's funny that you say what you're saying. It's hard to when somebody's doing something from the heart, like these people are making meals and stuff.
Right.
You feel some kind of way about, oh man, you want to say, man, I don't even want this crap,
Right.
or ew, you made that. But then, the other side is like, oh, I can't say that because it's just not.
but you wanna be-
But it's not the politically correct thing to say.
it's
But
pretty
this is
polite.
real.
Yeah.
I want to say, hey man, I don't want this
I
crap.
can't eat this anymore.
I don't even like that. Like you can't cook.
Right.
But
like,
you
but you
don't
want to
say
cook for
that.
me.
So
But
like
you
it's-
want to be polite. I mean, these people really are trying to help out. Like, so you don't want to be mean to them.
right.
But like a couple times at dinner, like all the kids are sitting at the table, like, I don't want to eat this. Like, you shut up and eat this charity food
Right.
because there's nothing else right now.
There's nothing else gonna happen.
Right? You want a glass of
Be
water?
thankful.
You can have that. This is what's on the menu tonight, kid. You can have this. You can have go to bed hungry. What do you want to have?
Right.
Because that's what your choices are. So went through 6 rounds of this R-chop. Every 3 weeks, you go in, you get your poison pumped in all day Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, if I was going to go back to work, those are probably the days. You feel pretty good for about 2 days.
Okay.
And then by Saturday morning, it just starts to pile. Like it just adds and adds and adds. And your mouth hurts. You get sores. You can't eat anything. Everything tastes like metal. It just, my coffee was horrible. And I'm a big coffee drinker. And like I couldn't drink coffee. It was miserable. And the P in that prednisone part of that is a steroid.
I thought you were talking about. Never mind.
No, not pee like urine.
Yeah,
pee like
okay.
R chop.
Yeah, I got
Pee,
you.
that pee. Although the R made your pee red, but that's a different.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. It's gross, but I have a really cool picture of it.
Stay with us.
Okay, here we go. So the P is prednisone. That messes with your personality a bit,
Ah.
and it turns you into kind of an asshole.
Ah.
Like it gave me a really short fuse.
Was that the medicine or was it just
It's the
amplifying
steroid. It
your normal?
amplifies my normal self.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wait a minute. So it gave me a very short fuse.
I got you.
And I got 7 little matches running around my house.
Right.
So by the time we got to the 4th round, I was hiding in my bedroom. We put a big leather chair, recliner in my bedroom so I could hide there. Had the lights off. It was dark. I'm trying to be quiet. There's stuff bouncing off the walls around me in the house.
Life still goes on.
Life still goes on around you. You got to sit there and watch it. And my sister was out that time to help out. Like whenever I went in for chemo, my parents or my sister would come out, or sometimes both, to help with the kids and the feeding and all that stuff. And she kind of tiptoes into my room, says, "Hey, how about when I go back to Jersey, I'll take you with me. I'll drop you off at mom and dad's. You can kind of ride this weekend out with them."
Right.
And I immediately, because I'm a good person and a good husband and a good father, I thought, I don't want to do that to Trish.
Right.
Leave her here alone with all the kids. That's not fair at all. No, I'm not doing that. She says, no. This was Trish's idea. You're leaving.
Right.
I was trying to make it sound like it was your idea, but you're getting kicked out.
Right.
We've already talked to mom and dad. They can't wait to have you. So they wanted me out of the house. Like I was that abrasive for those couple days that it was better that I wasn't around.
I got you.
And that was a little tough to swallow because I was already in a bad mood.
Right.
But I mean, looking back, they're right. So anyway, 6 rounds of this R-chop, 3 trips to my parents' house, and after the 3rd round, everything literally was going fine.
Right.
All the tests said they were good. I got another PET scan. When I first was diagnosed, before I started treatment, it was stage 3, which meant it had spread above and below my diaphragm, but it hadn't gone into any other organs. It was still contained in my lymphatic system. And your lymphatic system runs parallel to your bloodstream.
Okay.
It's kind of like the filters for your blood.
Yep.
So it was still there, but it was all over the place. It was in my throat, it was in my chest, it was around in my abdomen, but it didn't get into any other organs.
Right.
So I got another PET scan, and it looked like everything was gone, from above my diaphragm. It was mostly concentrated in that one mass that was getting smaller. So everything looked like it was working. But around the 4th or 5th round, I started thinking like, something's not right.
Right.
Like I just feel like this ain't working anymore. Like something is wrong.
And you know your body.
Right, you do.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing with this. You got to be your own advocate. You really have to, if you feel like something's wrong, you got to say something. And I did. I said, look, I really feel like there's a problem here. Something's not right. Something's not working. And the docs and everybody else did the same thing. Like, you got to let the medicine work. Give it time. It'll do. It'll do. Just let it do its thing. But it's going to have to. I said, all right, and then we'll get through it. So the last treatment I got was Valentine's Day of 2018. And I got another PET scan middle of March. Mm-hmm. And I got the scan, and the next day, the doctor's office calls us, "Hey, can you come in and see Dr. Zaman, now?" Damn it. This is not good news,
This is
is
not
it?
good.
Because the doc's never in a hurry to give you the good news.
No.
No. I said, well, do I need to come in now? They go, yeah, you need to come in. Like, we have an appointment at 2:30. Like, it's 2:15. Like, yeah, can you get there? Okay. So sure enough, this thing
it's never good when you gotta
rush
when
to
they're
see the
calling
doctor.
you to come to the doctor's office and or we'll meet you at the hospital.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, those are the classic two lines of like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it was bad. So turns out this thing was growing again. Right, the mass in my side was just about as big as it was in the beginning, and maybe not lemon sized, but like egg sized.
Right.
So it was big. And this is in spite of 3 additional rounds of chemotherapy. So now I'm in what's called refractory disease. And that's where stuff starts to get really scary. All right, because what they told me up front is that this R-CHOP has got an 85% success rate. So 85% of the people that get this,
It works.
you're clear, man. You're good to go. So really, I went into this first 6 months thinking that's like it's going to be like Lyme's disease or something. Like, this is going to suck. It's going to be inconvenient, but I'll be done soon.
Right.
I'll just get through this and I'll be done. Now I'm looking at refractory disease, so I've got a particularly aggressive form of a particularly aggressive cancer.
Which is particularly sucks.
Yeah, so no one's telling me I got the good kind of cancer anymore.
Right. No, you're not the good cancer.
No.
though.
So, and that's the other side, right, is that if
You're not in
you're
tier
in
1.
No, yeah, right. If you're in that 15% that didn't get better, your chances of survival for more than 2 years after that are about 15%.
Yeah.
So like it's really, if you didn't get well, you're in a bad spot.
Right.
So the next 2 folks said, we got to send you up to Hershey. Like, they've got the specialist with this. Like, we're good for the first line of defense, but after that,
We got to send you to
we're going to go to
heavy,
Hershey.
some heavy duty.
Yeah,
big
the
boys.
heavy hitters are coming
Yeah.
in. So that's where I ended up. Like a couple days later, I was at Hershey Medical Center or Penn State Hershey Medical Center
In Hershey.
in Hershey. Sweetest place on earth. If you're going to get cancer,
Go there.
they've got the snacks.
Yes.
So
Don't have diabetes. Though.
no. You might get
Sorry,
diabetes.
nothing against the people with diabetes.
No. I'm surprised I don't have it.
I mean, too. It's all the snacks I've
Man,
consumed.
a lot of snacks. But so I went to there and we met with Dr. Ammon, the oncologist there. And he's like, yeah, you need a bone marrow transplant. That's what we need to do for you. That's the next line. And we're talking. And then he says, but yeah, there's this other thing that maybe we could try. How do you feel about being the first?
You know, your voice almost sounded like just like how it would have been came out the doctor's mouth. But we got this off the books
There's this thing Yeah.
that we do on
Yeah,
the
like-
black market.
Right. What kind of market?
A different kind of
A
market.
different kind of market.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know that market.
I understand.
Yeah, 'cause
I have to educate you to that.
I don't see color.
That's good.
Yeah. Because I use hair putty with coconuts.
Yeah,
So I don't
that's a
see
good thing
color.
you don't.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if they could tell by my voice. All black people's voices sound alike. I don't know.
You're
But
black?
Last time I did a
Still?
ethnicity check. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I think I am.
All right. Well, it's good to know.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Anywho.
Dr. Ammon, who is very, very white, tells me,
Which
Yeah.
is no, go ahead.
we've got this other thing that we're thinking about getting going. It's called CAR T, which is a new treatment specifically for blood cancers, and only a very few of them. And one of them happens to be diffuse large B cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Difimumab.
Yeah.
That one.
Got you.
And lucky you,
You have that.
have that.
You picked the right one on the menu, man.
You got the good
best
kind
one.
of cancer.
You got the good kind of cancer.
Again. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through, but this is a very new treatment. It's essentially what they do is they remove the T cells from your body, which is part of your immune system, ship them off to California, and then genetically modify them to attack the cancer cells in my body.
Yeah.
It's like a science fiction story.
Yeah, some Star
It's-
Trek
It's
futuristic.
ridiculous, man.
you
And
know,
it's unbelievable.
Some next level stuff.
It is next level stuff. This is literally the bleeding edge of medical technology.
Which is, and not to bust up the groove, which is one of the things I look forward to in hopes of coming up with a cure for cancers, or at least something that can attack the cancer in a far more different way than any other kind of treatment ever known to man now, because it's so it's an aggressive one, but it's not aggressive as far as having side effects and things of that nature.
Yeah.
To some degree.
There's definitely side effects.
Absolutely. It's not a walk in the park, but
No.
you know,
Jurassic Park.
yeah, but it's not chemo. It's not putting a poison.
No,
in
it's not chemo. That's
you know,
true.
You know, putting a poison in you and like trading off, you know, the old saying, you're gonna die from something. It'll be the cancer or the chemo.
Right, yeah.
It's
The
not
disease
that
don't kill you, the medicine
The
will.
medicine will. But anywho,
So, but this is all new, and they've never done it at Hershey, and they're looking for an ideal first candidate. Right? They didn't want the first guy to die. Right? That's just embarrassing.
they're looking for their guinea pig.
They're looking for a guinea pig, right? They're looking for a
They're
healthy guinea pig.
Frankenstein.
Yeah. It's like no one wants the first one to die. Like, can you imagine how embarrassing?
found
like,
Tim.
have to sell that, right? Like, hey, we're gonna do this CAR T. The first guy that got it, well, he's dead. But
Right.
we worked out a lot of kinks.
We got a lot of
since
kinks.
then.
Yeah.
We've ironed the whole process out, and we think we got it nailed down for you.
Yeah, he got enough. It grew about 2 more arms, but,
Right, but
we've got that under control.
It's fine. We got
we
rid of
got
him.
that under control. We got all those glitches worked out.
He can play guitar and bass at the
Same
same time. It's amazing. So I said, well, you know, let's look into that. Let's see what happens. So the courses for either bone marrow transplant or CAR T were parallel for a long time.
Okay.
You still had to do the same thing. I still had to get, they called it salvage chemo, which they knew full well, like, this is not going to make you better. This is just going to keep things in check until we decide what to do.
Okay.
I had to get a week of radiation at one point, is they didn't, you typically don't radiate lymphoma for the same reason that it's not usually in one spot. But because this was, and it grew like really big, and I had some morphine and some stuff left over from when I was in
that's the
pain the
good
first
stuff.
time. Oh, yeah. And so I started taking that, and this started hurting again. I was like, oh, man, this is bad. So I started taking that, and I ran out. So, well, this is no good. We're going to have to do something about this.
We got hit the streets.
Yeah. And I was trying to sell houses at the time again, too. Like, I was showing people a house out in, like, Gettysburg, like an hour and a half away from my house. And I'd get in the car. I'm sweating bullets. I'm taking a fistful of Advil. Like, all right, let's go see the next place.
I gotta get home.
Gotta get home. How about this house? No, okay, cool.
Yeah, your sales pitch must have been piss
Man,
poor.
this house sucks. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
And we actually ended up buying the first house that we showed them. 8:30 in the morning, we showed them this house. We could have just stopped there.
Right.
But no, they wanted to see the one on Fish and Wildlife Road or something.
So they wound up buying the house at 8:30 in the morning, but
Yeah,
you
they
looked to
bought,
see
yeah, I
houses
didn't get home
till
till like
noon.
6.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, and I'm trying to like keep it together and not let them know that I'm in an extraordinary amount of pain. So I got a ride to the ER, and I was expecting them just to give me another script. Like, okay, here's another jug of morphine. You know, be responsible. And they didn't. They kept me in the they put me in the hospital right away. Said we gotta figure out what's going on. Ended up giving me 5 days of radiation from Wednesday to the following Tuesday. And I was on some serious pain meds. I was on morphine, like shooters, like a morphine pill in the morning, and then a couple shooters during the day, and also on an IV one. I think it's called Dilaudid. That's the one that Tiger Woods was on when he hit that tree and all them women fell out.
Oh,
That's what he was on, which you shouldn't be on in any kind of non-controlled way.
the guy
all.
with the guy. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, no. So and one of the nurses, I think, was pretty convinced that I was addicted to it because I kept asking for more. I'm like, no, like, I'm really in a lot of pain. Like, something's wrong. Because where it was sitting, it was right on my back. So like when you have a rock in your shoe, if you put your feet up, it doesn't hurt. When you stand up on it, it hurts like crazy.
All right.
All right, so I'm
Is that
lying on this thing.
Is that an analogy?
That's,
Is that
that's an analogy.
really? Okay, go ahead.
I think so. So I'm lying on this
Rock in the
thing,
shoe.
and it's just pushing up against my psoas nerve, and I'm dying. I'm hurting so bad. So even those inflatable hospital beds, like nothing helped. I just couldn't get comfortable. And this is cool. I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but that weekend was supposed to be a college reunion for a bunch of guys in college, like 25 guys, and we're all getting together, go to Denver, Colorado. We had a place booked. We all bought tickets. Everyone was ready to go to Colorado for the weekend.
Got you.
They found out that I couldn't go. And every last one of them rescheduled their trip to come to Denver, Pennsylvania.
That's a different.
It's a very different Denver.
Very
it's
different.
not nearly as cool. But
No.
all 25 guys ended up at an Airbnb right outside of Lancaster just so that I could be there at this reunion. I've never been so moved by,
Oh man,
by
that was
something like
dope.
that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was
And
dope.
I mean, I felt bad because I could hardly be there.
Right.
Like I'm literally in the middle of radiation and high out of my mind on morphine. So I played a terrible round of golf. I had like a beer, and that was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the medications say do not use alcohol.
Don't use alcohol. Really, that means that you're a cheap date.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
that's what it basically
Saving
means.
money left and right here. So one beer will get me.
You know, it's tough when you have cancer, and you're trying to follow the rules, but at some point, sometimes you're like, man, I have cancer.
What's going to happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen right now?
It's going to get much worse than this. Now, I get it, if you want to go to a very morbid level, but I've always been fascinated by that because, once again, that's part of those stupid things people say when you got taking chemo and have cancer. But, like, at the end of the day, what am I going to hurt? Am I going to get more sick?
Right.
Like, I'm already super sick.
Yeah, I'm pretty much
sick.
as bad as it gets.
I'm pretty sick right now.
Yeah. I'm going to have a drink.
I think I'm going to have a drink.
Yeah.
That's me.
So all these guys came. So I'm in the middle of radiation. And then we had to do another round of chemo right before I got the CAR T. So they take the cells out like 3 weeks prior. Actually, it was almost a year ago exactly that I got the stuff put back in. I think it was put back in on the 10th of September. So we're coming up on a year since I had this procedure done. So they took the cells out about 3 weeks before, shipped them off to Cali, put them back in, and then pump them back into your system. And because I was the first, the hospital room, which was like not a big room and dominated mostly by a hospital bed and this huge machine they're using to pump this back in.
Right.
There must have been a dozen people in there.
Yeah. Don't you feel like a lab rat? They're just all looking.
Yeah, everyone was watching.
Just watching. And
like the
you're
head
saying
of,
to yourself, you're sitting there, you're like, what in the hell is going
this
on
is
here?
weird.
This is absolutely weird.
Right? It wasn't just like a couple folks. And it was like big wigs at the hospital. Like,
And then they lean over and whisper to each other and start taking notes. And you're wondering, what in the hell?
what are you saying?
Is it all going well?
Right. I mean, at that point, there's nothing you can do. The worst part about it was the smell.
Oh.
It smelled so bad. It smelled like cream corn and garlic.
That's a wonderful scent.
Yeah, not anymore.
No. I think I might have to go purchase some of it.
Ugh.
Cream corn and garlic.
Yeah, it was so
Get
bad.
it in an aerosol.
Yeah, some type of Febreze. There's got to be a
Febreze.
cream corn and garlic. We can get like a tuna fish one too.
Yeah, just for cancer patients. You just want to go ahead and freshen up your house
We're
and
gonna
give
freshen out your tuna smell and garlic. So all these people are watching this stuff get pumped into me. I'm standing there, sitting there in the bed like an idiot. Like I got this thing in my arm. Like, all right, well, okay. There's no turning back. It's not like you can undo it.
No, there's no shutting it down.
Like once it's in, and that's
they
it.
gotta keep going.
Yeah. So they said, okay, cool. It's in. Took about 6 minutes. We'll see you later. See how this goes. And they warned me there's two big side effects that you're going to get. The first one was called a cytokine release syndrome. That's where this stuff attacks your brain or attacks your immune system, attacks it. Okay. So like, even though they just gave me this round of chemo to wipe out as much of my immune system they could, what was left put up a valiant effort because these T cells are now different.
Right.
They're not the same as they were when they got out. So they're
that's
different
the enemy.
enough. They're different enough to be looked at as the enemy.
Right.
So my weakened immune system
went crazy.
Went at them. They went at them. My fever, the highest I remember it was 105.6.
Wow.
Which is high.
Yeah, that's high.
That's like brain boiling. That's hot.
That's egg cooking.
Yeah, egg cooking. So I had ice packs on my neck and on my armpits, my knees, my crotch. Like and they kept switching them and giving me stuff to break it. It finally broke. Like at 105, I felt pretty good. At 102, that was uncomfortable.
Right.
Because then it's like coming down and your body's starting to win or starting to give up. I'm not sure. But at 102, I felt like, man, this is bad. That lasted for a day or two. And then the second one is this neural toxicity. And that's where it attacks your brain.
Okay.
And nobody's really sure why it gets to your brain. There's a lot of things about this procedure that people aren't sure about, which makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me I'm uncomfortable listening.
Right? Yeah. So, is it because I don't have any clothes on?
No.
You're cool with that.
No, I'm not cool with that either. I'm actually weirded out by that, but that's
so
fine.
Uncomfortable.
That's fine.
I have clothes on. So, the cytokine release syndrome, it comes at you and attacks your brain. And I ended up spending 6 days in the ICU. Because I couldn't do anything. They thought I was having seizures. One of the things they knew these things were coming. And they warned me about it. Said, these are the two things you're going to get. And that's cool to know.
But they don't know what actually is going to happen until they see it.
Right. And literally no one at the hospital had seen it happen yet.
Right.
Because I was the first one to do this.
I can imagine.
So they knew
Been
it
there.
was coming, and I think they were overstocked. Like I think they were, an abundance of caution, which is good. One of the things they had me do is answer a couple questions every day and sign my name at the end, just to see where my mental state was.
I think that signature was liability papers.
It might have been liability papers. I might have signed
They're trying
a
to trick
lot
you.
of waivers.
Yeah, what's your name? Did you know
What's
your
your
wife?
birthday?
Sign is right here, and it says if anything goes wrong, buddy.
What's your lawyer's name? That kind of stuff. So they'd ask me, like, who's the president? What month is it? And then sign my name. And my signature, I have a pretty big, bold signature. And as time went on, it got smaller and smaller. And it looked like my old grandma's signature at the end, like very, very small and sloppy and not really legible. And then there's a couple of days where it just says no signature, because I was in the ICU, like I couldn't do anything. They thought I was having seizures. I don't know if I ever actually had one, but I was acting like I was.
Wow.
They had to keep my feet kind of pointed up because otherwise they point down and they get stuck that way somehow. And
Oh man.
so I was in a boot that they would switch back and forth. I had all the little diodes stuck to my head.
You were Frankenstein.
I was Frankenstein. It was
a real
disaster area. I was a hot mess.
hot mess.
Hot mess. And that ICU, like I don't remember a lot of being there. I remember at one point Trish was playing my guitar. I remember being there with my dad once and just like crying and saying, I can't do this anymore. Like this is too hard. I can't do it. But there's no way through it but through it at that point. Like, you can't undo what you did.
No.
You just got to like hang on and not die.
Yeah, pretty much.
One thing I don't remember this, but I've been told that when I got in, they put a catheter in, and I decided I didn't like that, so I yanked it out,
Oh man.
which is a terrible way to get rid of a catheter.
Yes, it is.
It hurts really bad for like a month.
There's
You're reminded
no
multiple
good
times
way
a day.
of entry or exit of a
No,
catheter.
no, but there is a bad way.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a bad way.
That's the bad way. And they put mittens on me because I was trying to take out all the other needles and stuff too. Like I didn't want any
You're
of
like
this
a
stuff.
child.
I was like a child. I was like a child that could not be controlled.
Oh my goodness.
One lady, I can't remember her name, so if she's listening and she remembers who she is, I had to have 24-hour supervision because I
Right.
was like a child. And one of the patient,
Alcoholic child.
like an alcoholic child, right, currently drunk.
Currently.
One of the patient aid workers or patient care aid, it wasn't a nurse, but someone that kind of hung out with you.
Right.
She was sitting there reading, and I was just mad at her for no good reason. Just mad. Who are you? What are you even doing here? Why won't you let me take off my clothes? Like, all I want to do is just take my pants off. And I'd stand up and I'd take them off and I'd look at her and
I'm
she's like,
starting to
Tim.
be heavily concerned about your your desire to
I
be
know,
naked.
It was so weird. She just looked at me like, Tim, pull your pants up. Fine. And I tried again like 10 minutes later. She, Tim, pants up. So I remember that.
Alzheimer's.
I remember that. Yeah, like I had dementia. Like
Yeah,
it was not cool to be with me. So whoever's there on the 6th floor, you guys are awesome. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Like I
Is
told
it
you
the
earlier.
6th floor or the 7th?
7th floor is cancer. 6th floor is ICU.
Okay.
So I got shipped down.
So that's why I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
make it there. I didn't make it there.
You're
Thank you.
lucky.
Very
You're lucky.
good.
Hey,
Go
this
ahead.
is my time. We'll get to you.
Oh, no problem.
So I finally got back up in time to watch Tiger Woods win the
Masters?
no, not the Masters, the Players Cup.
Okay.
So that was kind of neat. And then I got out of the hospital 17 days after I put it. I think it was 28th of September. I got out of the hospital. I passed a kidney stone on the way, so that was cool.
You're living the dream,
I
man.
am living the dream. I didn't even feel it because I was on so much pain medicine. I didn't even feel it come through.
Toped up.
But I mean,
Kidney stone.
everything
passer.
when I was in, and this is why I got out so early. Like everything was a spectator sport. Like every time I went to the bathroom, like, oh, let's go check that out. Like, look, it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's not very
I
exciting.
have a boogie in my nose. We're coming.
We're
Hold
gonna-
on.
We're gonna pick that for you. Put it in the bucket.
Put that in the petri dish, please.
One time, I think it was actually when I met you. So I met you when I was getting one of my rounds of chemo, salvage chemo, I think.
Yeah, that's a strange story, but
Yeah, it's a strange story. They had me fill the jug. I had to pee in the jug and fill it. So I'm gonna mess with them. So I brought food coloring, and I turned my pee like super blue. I just sat there and waited for them to come back, and they didn't say nothing.
that's
Nothing.
It's so hospital-like.
Yeah, right. So I
like-
finally asked, like, "Hey, is everything coming out with my urine?" She's like, "Yeah, well, you filled it with blue food coloring, but other than that, it's good."
Yeah.
Like, you saw right through me immediately. Saw right through me.
Right,
So
right,
they're
right.
that good. Can't fool them with blue food coloring. So I was like,
That
every
was
time
another
you,
childlike prank.
yeah, but that was before I had an excuse.
Right.
That's just me being a jerk, getting rowdy. So
Living up to your standards.
living to my standards. That's right, right. Setting the bar low and consistently failing to meet it.
Right.
So, but every time like I rolled over, like the alarms go off, the room is full of nurses right away. Like I was done.
Right.
I was sick of being in the hospital. I couldn't take it anymore. So they said, like, as long as you pass this stone and some of your kidney levels get down, we'll let you go home. And they did. And that was probably a mistake. Like, I probably should not have come home that early. I probably need another couple days to baste
Right.
before they let me go. But I couldn't, like, I was going insane. So I went home, but I had to go back and forth like every other day for like a month.
Right.
More than a month, like every other day. And then like twice a week, and then every week, and then getting scans and getting blood work all the time. I still had the port in, like all this stuff was still there. But it seems to have worked. Like this stuff seemed to work.
Really?
Yeah.
After all that.
After all that, spoiler alert, I ain't dead yet.
He's not
You
dead.
didn't get me.
Sorry, cancer.
Sorry, folks, you lose.
If you're sitting back waiting for the climactic shoe to drop,
Yeah, there it is.
the beauty of this story is it actually did work.
It worked. It
you know,
worked.
for it to be the first test subject of Hershey
Yeah.
Medical Center.
Now, to say it on the first test, I want to make sure people understand. It's not like
tests.
they were like they'd never seen this before. Like, ooh, let's give this a shot.
Right.
Like they'd all been through extensive
There was no
training.
mad scientist in a lab that
No.
they met on the street and was like, I think I've solved the answer. You know? But it's definitely been some heavy duty research on it. It's just Hershey's first time
Right. I was the
doing
first
it
one
on a
to do it.
patient.
They had done about 500 of these procedures around
Total in
the
the country. Right.
before me.
Right.
So it wasn't brand new,
Right.
but it wasn't like it's
But
not
in
standard.
And it just, in the grand scheme of things, rather, of how many people populate the United States of America, 500 does make
It's a pretty small number.
it makes it seem
Even
like
compared to like how many people got bone marrow transplants last year as opposed to this.
it's right, which is
Like,
a significantly
Tens
greater
of
number.
thousands
Right.
of bone marrow transplants, I'm
Right.
sure.
Bone marrow transplants are becoming extremely more common to do. And this is something that's new, and maybe, God willing, 10 years from now, it'll be considered something extremely common. They'll have something else.
Right, yeah,
Or
some
they'll
other
have this
cool thing.
So they'll be doing this so well that it just put it in you. Maybe you're not going through all those different weird side effects.
That'd be great.
They'll understand that you're going to want to be naked and be mean to people. And
Wait, that's how I am anyway.
yeah. So at the end of the day, it is an amazing thing. That whole explanation, but you're talking about, years going
Yeah,
by.
it was a 2-year-long process.
Spoken.
And now we're
and-
coming in 2 years.
Right.
So it was
So-
2017 I was diagnosed. Now we're coming up at the end of 2019. So 2 years.
So 2 years, and at this stage, you are, well, I can tell you he looks pretty healthy. Now, he does have
Oh,
his clothes
shucks.
on,
I do.
but he looks healthy. Sounds good. I guess you can share the story of how we met. It was kind of weird.
I'm trying to remember because I was in a bad way at that time, but you were much, much worse than I was.
Yeah, it was.
Remember, I think we went to, did we go to that support group?
We went to a support group. That
And
was
we both kind of wandered in like,
we kind of just
we're patients.
We're patients. It's absolutely nothing to do when you're on there but deal with the cancer.
Right.
But it's not like every waking second, at least in my particular experience, that you're in some kind of cancerous pain or chemo pain. Not
Right.
every second. So there
You're
are
mostly
these
just bored.
right. There's these moments where you get a chance to reflect, and that's when all the weirdo stuff starts creeping in. You know, so you have to do something. So I was, as I said, wandering through the hospital, and they mentioned about a support group on that particular day, and I decided to stroll down, and I guess so did he.
I did too. I don't remember how I found out about it. Like, I don't remember
Yeah,
someone telling me, like, hey, you need to go to this. I'm sure somebody did.
yeah.
I think, was Trish there? I forget. She might have been. Because Ken still talks about Trish all the time, and I think she's on.
I'm not sure if she was there or not. I guess it was the same thing. I heard about it, and then for whatever particular reason or another, when you have so much downtime in your brain, all these various pieces of information that might have been subconsciously in your head, they start resurfacing.
Right.
So I think it was just like, hey, didn't I have a support group or something? So anyway, that's how I wound up.
So we
there.
both wandered into that support group, and we hit it off right away.
Yeah, it was.
It was weird.
It was weird, especially since he's white and I'm black, and I just didn't.
I am?
The last time I checked that too.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but it was we just hit it off right away, and it just kind of progressed from there to now. Here we are sitting here talking on a podcast together.
Yeah, and I wandered into your hospital room.
Yeah,
man, you're in a bad spot. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just a weird white guy just wandering. He doesn't have any type of doctor's coat on or
nothing.
There's nothing appearance-wise, optics-wise, that makes me believe that this guy belongs to the hospital staff. I'm trying to figure out, like, who's this character? But, man, what are you going to do when you're in the hospital? You
talk to anybody.
You just talk to anybody. Like, hey, guy, random strange white guy that came in. Hey.
You were sitting on the bench. You had your mask on. Like, whoo, this is bad. Woo.
Yeah, it was like, first of all, put your mask on, whoever you are, strange guy.
You should know better.
You know better. But, yeah, I like I said, ultimately, it was, dealing with cancer is obviously a traumatic experience for everyone.
Yeah.
And hopefully moving forward, we will get into all those type of topics, from caregivers to family to everyone that's affected. It's not just the person with the cancer.
Right.
Unless you just happen to be one of those people that don't have many friends.
Ugh.
And then that's probably not going to work out for you.
Yeah, it's a bummer for you.
It's a bummer. But anyway.
So, oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
How many ways have the people in support group mispronounced your name?
Oh, wow.
I think I heard 4 on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
not really sure if anybody has gotten it correct yet. But yeah, it's a tough one. I've been struggling with that.
It's really not. It's 3 letters.
It's so simple. It's 3 letters.
It's not hard. O-Y-A.
It's just yeah. But I think what happens is when people visually see it, then their mind doesn't want to believe it's that simple.
It can't be that easy.
It can't be that simple. So I always call myself the 3 vowel guy.
Okay. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes why? Yeah.
I'm the 3 vowel guy. So I think, it's a challenge for the brain to figure out, how do I put vowels all together?
All together like that. It's weird.
This is not, what's that darn show? This is not Vanna White, and it's not that show.
There's no tiles like that.
Wheel of Fortune.
We ain't playing Scrabble with this word.
No, we're not. But, like I said, I just tell everybody, just call me O. It just makes it a lot easier. It's easier to remember, and it's a good thing. It's a great conversation piece.
I'll bet.
It breaks the ice very easily with everyone. But
so how did you get diagnosed? What happened? Where are you at? What's going on?
My situation is I have multiple myeloma. From what I understand, being educated about it now, it has 3 stages. So it's a nasty one too. I think really all blood cancers are pretty nasty.
Pretty much all cancers.
Well, just cancer
in general.
Let's not exclude, breast cancer or all the
that
cancer.
One's cool.
Yeah, like ones are cooler than the other.
No.
But any cancer sucks.
Yeah.
It's just that some are more aggressive than others. And this one has 3 stages. And really, just to go back to the beginning, I've really never been sick. Mm-hmm. And I say that, not like in a bragging way. I just really never was. I had your flu or whatever, be down for 3 days, take some NyQuil, cocoon myself, sweat it out. I'm good. Just nothing catastrophic, no bones broken, none of that my whole life.
Yeah.
So, maybe a few years back, I guess I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I just started feeling weird, and I tried to chalk it up to just being over 40. Mm-hmm. Because they say that's when forget the 50, it starts going. 50 is when you really, truly understand it's downhill.
Right.
40 is when it starts going all cockamamie. And so I kind of chalked it up at that in the beginning, and it started out with just kind of, I had this one horrific episode. I never forget. It was like a Saturday morning. I was eating a bowl of cereal. Nothing. I was pretty stress-free.
Yeah.
And because I have too much information in my head, I started having symptoms like I was having a heart attack.
Oh, geez.
And so I thought that's what I was having. So I was there alone. I was thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is
the big one.
Yeah, this is like some Fred Sanford Elizabeth thing. I was like, oh, this is it. This is the worst. Nobody's gonna know. So I called the 911, and I did remember that number. And I called it. The person stayed on the phone with me. I don't know who it was. And it was like, calm down, do these, breathe like this, do like that. And they finally came, took me to the hospital.
Did you call a yoga instructor? What did you do?
Yeah, it was weird, man. It was like, once again, never had a heart attack.
Can you get in downward dog?
Yeah, she could have told me to stand on one leg and think about waffles, and I might have been like, okay, is that going to fix it?
Waffles.
So ultimately, I wound up going to the hospital, emergency room, get there. They do some tests and, the EKG and all that good business. And they say, there's nothing wrong. Now, you need to understand kind of like who I am. And so please, and we're going to say this, I'll make sure this is a disclaimer at the beginning of the show. Please don't get offended. There's nothing, I'm not racist or any kind of thing, but you're going to hear a lot of stereotypical, is that a word? Yeah.
Yeah,
jokes.
stereotypical is a word.
Kind of jokes and stuff like that. But as I always said, there's a lot of truth in these stereotypes because I don't think there was just one wise man sitting on top of a mountain going, writing stereotype jokes.
Right.
Black people like watermelon or, this, that. I don't think that's how it went down. But anyway, let's get serious.
You ever see someone driving by and you think, man, I wonder what it's like to actually be a stereotype?
Right.
Like you are the living embodiment
of that.
Like you make it true.
Yeah, it's just, that's why I say that people get so offended because there's so much truth to it too, because that's what makes us different. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to go. That's
it's also what makes it funny,
right? But I don't want to go into all that.
Right.
But
that's not what this is about.
But that's an important piece to know or understand about my character, so that you understand what happened when I got to the hospital. I got there in emergency room. They're doing what they're doing. And so they come back and discuss with me. And mind you, I'm from the city. I've pretty much grew up my whole life in some kind of big city. So I now live in the wilderness.
This is not the city.
This is not the city. And so I was getting accustomed to that way of life, a very rural, mountainish area, I would say. So anyway, I go there and he comes back and he tells me, hey, man, you're having a panic attack. I said, a what? He said, I think you're having a panic attack, anxiety attack. I said, anxiety? And so immediately in my mind, I've heard these words, but not putting them together when he said, hey, man, are you stressed out, or anything like that? And I said, man, I can't possibly have a panic attack. He said, why is that? I said, I've been stressed out all my life. I'm black. What I mean? And so just, the whole emergency room bust out in laughter. He's like, sir, this has nothing to do with your race. And then he starts explaining what a panic attack is. And I just tell him, nah, I'm just everyday life. Everybody deals with it. So it began from that moment. I never forget it vividly. I was never sick. Then those panic attacks or whatever they were started becoming more frequent. Mm-hmm. Maybe I would be good and have one once a month. Then it turned to twice a month. At some point, it had gotten beyond just that. I was having issues breathing. I was black, very black out. I was at the job calling, just couldn't breathe, and all kinds of different, just all over the place issues. I went to all kinds of doctors for years. I went to cardiologists, a neurologist. I went to zoologists, mixologists. I went to any kind of ologist that you could think of, trying to discover what in God's name was wrong with me. The one thing I could say is it was very frustrating, yet satisfying simultaneously, because every time I went there, they would say, well, that test is good. So I knew what I didn't have, right. But I still was sick. I used to tell them all the time, man, I'm the healthiest sick person I've ever met.
Yeah.
But just can't. So at some point I started believing them, because my primary doctor started thinking I was a hypochondriac.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because I would always be just running to the doctors. But I was only doing that because I've never been sick.
Right.
Now I'm sick all the time.
Yeah.
And no, I don't really have a great knowledge base of anxiety. But what I do know is I have anxiety because I know I'm sick, and you keep telling me that I'm not.
Right.
So that kept going on and on and on. But I was getting super sick every single day, all day. To at some point, I decided that I was just going to fall out and die. So I figured, hey, I'm trying to do the come up. You know, hey, if I'm going to die, let me get as much money as I can. So I tried to increase my life insurance policy.
Okay.
So they came to my job that I was working at and did all the tests, blood, urine, yada, yada, yada. And when it came back, they denied my increase. And they said, here's the reason why. And they gave me these physical documents. And the documents basically indicated I either maybe had some kind of kidney disease, or my kidneys were failing, or I had diabetes, one of them things, which made more sense to me because I have, like we said earlier, I've abused sugar, salt. And I thought of all of those different things that I abuse. But they said, yeah, there's a protein in your blood and in your urine. Well, in your blood. And I said, well, you're supposed to have protein in your blood. It was like, yeah, but not this kind of protein and not this much. And it's also in your urine, so forth and so on. Take these papers to your primary. And, man, it was really like because when I took it to him, he took that information to the urine. I went from there to a hematologist, to the oncologist, and next thing I'm getting a bone marrow biopsy.
Oh, they're fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're
Oh
so
my
enjoyable.
God.
I always like people drilling me. That was weird.
Yeah, that's not what I meant.
That's not what I meant. But, I enjoy getting a drill poked in me.
I purposely didn't Google that before I got mine because I didn't want to know what that needle looked like. That needle's scary.
Man, I had to do something. I would recommend to all folks, you need some information, but too much information is not good.
Not good.
The internet is a deadly source of information because you could take pulling a nose hair out, and somehow, if you read long enough, it'll lead to death.
Immediately, yeah.
Immediately.
Ugh.
But
when I got the first bone marrow transplant or bone marrow biopsy, I was just still at the gym, been lifting heavy weights for a decade. Like, my bones are thick.
yeah.
Yeah, I got strong bones. And there's this little skinny blonde chick that's like pushing down, like, you've got really strong bones. And then I got another one a couple months later, or a year later. I bent the needle.
Oh, my goodness.
Right, yeah. So they put the anesthesia like right where it needs to be.
Uh-huh.
But if the needle bends and it kind of scoots off to the side,
Oh, that's pain.
you feel it.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to have the kind of cancer that was softening my bones. So they probably
Lucky you.
look at me, man. I'm getting it all. So it went real groovy.
Yeah.
They did the drill. They did all that part and felt a little weird.
Isn't it weird when they finally pops through? Like,
Yeah,
tick, 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 tick.
you can hear it, and you can feel kind of sort of like a tugging sensation.
Did it feel like it was getting sucked out of your femur?
Yeah. It's
Which not where the needle was at all.
it kind of sends a kind of a tingly, feeling all through your leg.
Yeah. But it's coming out your hip.
But it's coming out. It's there in your hip.
It's really weird.
But that's what they did, and
Do not recommend.
No. So I envisioned, you always think about it somebody, it's always someone else. You at work, you hear about Susie Q, your great aunt, that guy you didn't like when you were 12. It's always them being told that they have cancer. It's always, I've only had it happen once, thank God. But when you're told, it's never what you imagine.
Right.
It wasn't like TV where they sit down and we need to have a conversation. It wasn't all that dramatic. It was very, very nonchalant.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed the day after Christmas in 2017, which sucked.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good. Look at my present. So I went in there, and I kind of had a feeling because nothing else was coming up.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and he was like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Gilbert? I'm doing good. So, that nasty cancer I was telling you, that nasty thing I was telling you about before? I said, yeah. He said, well, you got it. And literally, that's how he said it. And immediately, my first reaction was, I had a Charlie Brown's school teacher moment, or his mom, it was just womp womp. I mean, that's how I heard nothing he said. I went into my own world, that whole the sound going off, and I just started thinking about everything. Everything. I see my entire life flash in front of me in milliseconds. And then I went out he gave me his card. He said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "No." And I walked outside and sat in the parking lot for about an hour. And, I did the usual stuff that probably people did. I cried. I wasn't ever angry. Like, I wasn't angry at God or anything like that, or whatever, whoever you would be angry at. I was just more sad and felt like incomplete. Like I didn't finish. I need more time. I need more time, Lord.
Yeah, there's stuff I want to do.
There's stuff I haven't done, And that was the day, I use this statement all the time now, that was the day I became acutely aware of everything, from the simplest things. And I immediately realized I didn't ask this guy anything, like what stage I was in, like what are we gonna do?
Is there medicine for this?
Right. I didn't ask the dude anything. So I ran back upstairs and he was gone. And the lady was like, "Oh, I'll give him a call." And to his credit, he called me back in about 20 minutes. And I didn't want to go in the house and talk to him. He caught me while I was driving, so I pulled into a bar. Here we go with the drinking again.
Good place to be.
I pulled into a bar parking lot near my house. And he talked to me for about an hour, and that's what I learned about cancer and what I had to do inside of a car in a bar parking lot, which was nothing like you see it on TV.
No.
So,
so what is the cancer that you have? Can you explain a little bit? Like, I still don't know what multiple myeloma is.
So multiple myeloma is a blood cancer that attacks the bones. It's coming out of your bone marrow. So it softens up your bone marrow, softens up your bones. And normally what happens, it normally is associated with in folks in a older age group. And so what'll happen is, normally how you find out, it's 9 times out of 10, you're already in a very bad place because it doesn't really give symptoms like I was having. I know I was just blessed to find out. But you'll break a bone for no reason. It attacks small bones. So normally it's like your ribs, maybe your fingers. And so I'll say the rib, and what'll happen is maybe you sneeze, but you break your rib. That's not normal.
No.
So obviously your ribs broke or whatever. And so you'll go to the doctors and say, "Hey," and then the doctor's going to ask, "What were you doing?" And you say,
Sneezing.
"Nothing, I sneezed." And then the tests normally come from that because that's a good indicator right there.
Okay.
So that's normally how you find out. It's breaking some kind of bone easily. That's not the case for me. I didn't break any bones. They still to this day they say we don't know how you found this. And I thank God for that, because I was in stage 1 of the 3 stages. When they did all the tests, the PET scans and all that stuff, they talked about doing a stem cell transplant. And I remember him discussing that with me and my daughter there, and we were looking at each other while he was talking, and just cut him up and say, "Hey, man, we don't need a sales pitch."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, did you say that this would give me a chance to live longer?
Yeah.
Because multiple myeloma is one that can't be cured.
Okay.
So I said, "But we don't need a sales pitch, homie.
You struck oil. Stop drilling."
Right. Homie, we don't need a sales pitch. Where do I sign up?
Now, did you get your own marrow, or was it somebody else's?
I got my own. So that was cool. I don't want to butcher the terms there.
Yeah,
but
it's
I think
analogous and something else. One's yours and one is somebody else's.
I want to say I had an auto. I want to believe that's the correct terminology, but please don't kill us out here.
Yeah, we're not doctors.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to claim to be.
No, we just play one on a podcast.
I use my own cells.
Okay.
And so they discussed all that with me. So it was like December 26, 2017, diagnosed. February 1st of 18, I started the chemo process, which was you had to start a VRD process, and it's Revlimid and some other long-term
there's a lot
with a D and something with a V,
right?
A medicine, but the V was a shot in my stomach once a week. The other one was like more of like a steroid, the D one, and it's like 10 pills once a week, which is fun.
Ugh.
And then obviously the Revlimid was a daily dosage, and you took that every day. So that's what I started with, leading up and hoping that they could get the cancer under control with that. It started working, and so that was a good thing. I responded to the very first medication. Obviously, the side effects were something I wasn't used to, but being sick like that every single day, the side effects, I trade those in any day.
What were the side effects?
So some of the side effects, one of the main things is just fatigue. But that's with any chemo, the fatigue aspect, then just your digestive system, the diarrhea, those type of things.
Oh yeah, you said that word.
Yeah, I did say it.
Diarrhea.
Feeling nauseous.
I had the other
vomiting.
problem. I couldn't poop at all.
Yeah, and that it goes back and forth, which is so weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation. You go from there's never that happy medium. You're either constipated or you
Right.
got diarrhea. You every once in a while you might
Never in or never out.
you might get a happy day of the blend of the two. But
A nice soft blend.
a nice soft blend of poopski.
Ugh.
But yeah, that's what happened with that circumstance, and then went and got the stem cell transplant, and did that also at Hershey. Obviously, that's where we met. If you heard his story first.
Yep.
The funny thing is, they tell you the story. This is, to extract the cells, you need to get 2 million of them to qualify to even do the transplant. So you're sitting there with your fingers crossed, like, come on, cells, come on, cells. So they give you these Neupogen. I think I pronounced that right.
Neupogen, yeah,
Neupogen shots to make your cells get hyperactive.
Did that hurt?
It burns when it goes in, definitely.
I got Neupogen once, and it hurt.
Yeah, it
Like they're like the shot didn't hurt. Like after the fact.
Oh yeah, after the fact.
It's producing all these cells and pushing them out through your bones, and like
Right.
that hurts.
So you just can imagine having like some kind of tube and just kind of blowing a balloon up in it, and so it's more stuff being housed in something that can't house it, so
Right.
it's expanding,
Right.
trying to get out, and so it's not super painful. It's just a dull, aggravating pain.
Actually, you know what? It's funny. We were watching when this happened. We were watching Wonder Woman, which we were just watching this afternoon. I just remembered that right now.
Yeah, so that's the kind of the gist of that. They explained to me the extraction portion of it would be easy. The complicated portion was the transplant itself and all the different things that could happen: the mouth sores, the vomiting, the diarrhea, obviously the hair loss, and all those different things. So I'm geared up for that. Well, there was this 1%, and of course it has to be me. That's the start of my life, the old 0.1%er. I had a horrific experience getting the extraction.
I remember that. Yeah.
So it was supposed to be the smoothest part of the whole ordeal, and it wound up being the most terrifying. While doing this extraction, which is sort of like a dialysis machine, they're feeding you Tums to keep your calcium level up.
Okay.
And I'm eating these things like Tic Tacs, and I'm feeling weird. But once again, I've never been sick. I've certainly never had a stem cell transplant.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm supposed to feel like. So I'm sitting there feeling weird, but I don't know if this is what's supposed to feel like. Or
He just air quoted that entire sentence, by the way.
I don't know if it's supposed to feel this way or, and then I'm over there trying to be tough. I'm doing all these weird things, but the whole time I'm feeling super weird. I'm getting extremely lightheaded. Getting jittery, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I feel like I'm having a heart attack or something, or a stroke or something, because I couldn't talk anymore.
Oh, wow.
And my muscles started tensing up, and it almost looked like I was having a seizure.
Oh, geez.
And I got super panicky. So did the lady doing it, because she didn't know what the hell was going on. Now, just so you understand the location of, I went to the blood bank to do this, and in Hershey, the blood bank, I don't know if they've moved it, but right now, or at that time frame, it was located on the children's side of the hospital. So that's an important factor for me going into this whatever situation I'm going into, because she started calling in people to help, but they were bewildered because
This is a grown up.
this is a grown up. I only deal with children. You know what I mean? And then, of course, they certainly ain't dealt with a stem cell transplant.
Right.
They're just regular old, that's the worst they dealing with is I broke my, I got a boo-boo on my knee or something like that. Now we're asking them for some real medical knowledge. So they're all standing around me. So to your story, it winds up becoming some kind of fiasco. There were like 40 people in there. Like they're just each one is calling more people. Have you seen this before? But meanwhile, I'm over there like, and I'm very coherent in my mind, but I can't say what I want to say. Now here, for you listeners out there, I can't talk, but here's what I was thinking in my head. If y'all don't figure out and hurry up and get me somewhere and fix this, I'm gonna kill somebody in here. But needless to say, they're just looking, talking, pointing at themselves. Till eventually they called the ER. The ER folks came down, thank you, Jesus. And just like, everybody get out of the way. And they kind of figured out what was going on. And so what actually happened to me is my potassium level and my magnesium level went so low from the extraction, I was having some kind of reaction to it.
Oh, wow.
And so what they did was the Tums and all that that wasn't getting it done.
No.
So they actually took and shot in my port, which is, directly in you, basically. All those things. And by the time they got me up to the emergency room, I started talking again, so forth and so on. So I got admitted to the hospital that day. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be doing an outpatient type version of the stem cell in the beginning. So I wound up getting admitted that day, obviously.
Yeah. What kind of port did you have? You have a single or a double?
I had a double.
You had a double. I had a single. That was another thing I didn't Google. What does that look like?
Well, no, actually, let me clarify that. Maybe I did have a single. So that's just the two. Is that just the two?
I think two would be a double.
Oh, sorry. I thought maybe. I thought
I mean,
maybe.
I'm not a mathematician or anything.
And you know what? I agree with you. I'm just thinking the pair created one. So I'm thinking maybe there was four lines.
No.
No, I had two then. Yeah.
Okay, I just had a single. I just got mine pulled out. And I asked if I could keep it and they said no. But they did show it to me. And the tube that comes out of that thing is disturbingly long.
Super disturbing.
Man, like it's like goes directly into your heart. Like it's way in there.
It's right from what they explained, it's right directly just crossing that, that goal line of your heart, from your vein to your heart.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it too far in there.
Right. They're just going to put the tip in.
Anywho.
Because you don't want to get all the way in there. It hurts your heart.
Yeah, you don't want to get it all the way in there.
What did you think I was talking about?
Nothing.
Okay.
I was just really referring to my heart. So ultimately, I wound up getting admitted. I got the stem cell transplant not too long afterwards. I wound up getting 6.5 million cells.
There you go. That's way more than 2 million.
Way more. I was hoping to get more. I felt a little short. I felt like a little wimp.
7?
There were some other older folks that had got like 12 million.
Really?
Yeah, man. I felt like a wimp.
Man.
I'm like, man, I got to get my stems. I got to get my cells up. Got to get this up. But anywho, I got my 6.5, and they say if you get enough, they'll freeze half of them.
Okay.
So you have to do it again. And then if you happen to need another one, they'll have them already ready for you.
How convenient.
How convenient. I said, well, if I only needed 2, they said, we're going to put the whole 6.5 back in. I'm like, well, if I only need 2, keep 3. I don't want to do that again.
Right.
Because that wasn't the easy part for me.
You could keep two doses. You got all kinds of leftovers.
Yeah. You got at least 4. I got 2 doses. But anywho, they didn't do that. They also didn't put the preservative that they normally put in there. But I think all those things, I know for a fact, also help with the transplant itself.
Okay.
Because the preservative that they put inside of the cells to keep them causes a nasty reaction, obviously, because it's not supposed to be there.
Right.
And it stinks. It gives a nasty smell. So I didn't have that. I got warm, fresh, woohoo.
Nice.
I got nice, hot, well, it
Warm,
wasn't
fresh
warm,
cells.
but they were just fresh cells. So we got that, put it in, and I did everything they told me to do to the extreme. If they told me to chew ice, which they do, tell you to chew ice, and they tell you to do that 30 minutes before, I did it 2 hours before. They told me to continue to do it
How did you keep it from melting for so long?
I kept refilling it, but
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah. This was I had a plethora of ice to chew.
Gotcha.
This wasn't the same old ice.
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Fresh ice.
Fresh ice. So I did that, and there is some light at the end of the tunnel. I actually was one of the folks that had a very easy situation. I was supposed to be there for 30 days at minimum.
Yeah.
And everything they told me was going to happen happened twice as quick for me.
Okay.
I went down and reached my neutropenic state way earlier than I should.
I think that's when I met you. You were down.
Yeah, I was in my neutropenic
Yeah.
state when you met
That's why
me.
you're so mad that I wasn't wearing a mask.
Yes, because I was listening to everything they told me.
Like, bitch, I'm sick too.
Yeah, right. We're just gonna not give each other
No
nothing.
one's gonna get anything from this.
Yeah, if you can give me your lymphoma, I'll just go ahead and get you this myeloma.
Nah, we'll keep it. We're good.
But ultimately, I was in the hospital and out in 12 days.
Wow.
Which is a miracle.
That's quick.
Like once they said, hey, your markers need to reach this, we need your platelets to get to this, see you later, buddy. This is a production. This is assembly line. Hey, we need a bed for somebody
There's
a
some
little
other
bit
sick
more
dude.
sick. Yeah. And so, it's been basically, that was June of 2018. So
Yeah.
I have passed my 1 year anniversary from the stem cell transplant. I have never reached remission.
Okay. Will you ever reach remission?
It could, but I don't know.
Okay.
That's up to the good Lord. But I've never reached it, which is somewhat, I guess they say it was a little odd to them for all the stuff I have been through. However, the last few tests have come back saying that the term is it's unmeasurable.
Okay.
So as far as this black guy is concerned, unmeasurable, zero, same thing.
Yeah, it's a distinction without a difference. Right?
Yeah, like
6 of one, half dozen
you call
the
it
other.
tomato, I call it tomato. Who cares?
Who cares?
I consider it medical remission. That's
Okay.
what. So I still take chemo every day. I've reduced the dosage. I started out at 15. I'm down now to 5 milligrams.
Okay.
Uh,
Are you still getting side effects from that, or?
I still get side effects, just not as bad. And I got other issues. You're getting old.
Yeah.
So you just have
Oh, yeah,
other
you got issues, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely got some issues.
Oh man.
Let's not that's a whole nother different type of
Man. Oh, his issues.
show. O's issues.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, I am in a very good place. At the end of the day, it could be a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the lifespan, you have a better chance of living longer getting a stem cell transplant when you have multiple myeloma.
Okay.
So that's why I said it was a no-brainer for me. Maybe it might be different or difficult for those out there that when it gets found or when it typically happens when you're like in your 60s, late 60s or 70s, you might have a different outlook on doing a stem cell transplant because of how aggressive it is in your health at that
Right.
time. But me being in my late 40s,
Very late 40s. You're like 40-12, aren't you?
yeah, like 3/4 away from cracking the 50-cent piece. But anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at today. We kind of, like we said, we met in the hospital. We decided to do these podcasts because, as we stated before, I think laughter is a good thing, and we certainly kept each other laughing in the hospital.
Yeah.
Not to take yourself too serious. We understand, at least this is my view on it, we understand that having cancer, or any illness for that matter, but we're just speaking about cancer specifically, is serious enough. Life's serious enough. Life is serious enough as it is. So I know for me, and I definitely believe for Tim, try to incorporate laughter in our everyday life. This was before cancer,
Heck yeah.
to help us get through life. And so we wanted to try to do something that was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not necessarily a joking matter.
No, but there's funny there. Like, you can find the funny.
You can find the humor. You have to.
You have, yeah, and it's going to be, some of it's going to be some dark funny. Like it's
Yeah.
not always going to be like Mary Poppins funny.
Exactly. This isn't the bells, whistles, clowns, and stuff like that funny all
well,
the time.
it could be like Pennywise kind of clown.
yeah, or It.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Pennywise is it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I'm not an It fan.
Is because the clown is so very, very white.
That's part of the
That's probably
problem.
what it is, yeah.
That really, I prefer Candyman. He was black.
Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, the point is, humor
The point is
is
we're both bad people.
right. We're both human beings, and I'd like to say that, if society could take on the characteristics of cancer and hear the whole thing out, if society, from a morality standpoint or social standpoint, could take on the characteristics of cancer, we would live in a much better place, because cancer doesn't care about gender. It doesn't care about age. It doesn't care about ethnicity. It doesn't care about anything you could possibly think of. It just comes.
Yeah.
And so we understood that and thought, to try to just bring a little laughter in it, especially when that nugget is out there.
Yeah.
That information's out there. There's children, there's infants, there's super older people, and everything in between that have cancer of some form. So we're just trying to bring a little laughter, a little lighten it up a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
And, that's where we are with it.
Yeah.
But I think we'll stop right there for right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then we'll talk offline. See you folks. Thank you so much for listening to the Dying Laughing podcast. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, questions, recipes, insults. It really doesn't matter. Tim, tell them where they can reach us.
Right now we're in O's basement, which is a weird place to come look for us. But if you want to find us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dying Laughing Podcast. Our website is dyinglaughingpodcast.buzzsprout.com. And you can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Or you can email us at dyinglaughingpodcast@gmail.com.